Still holding. Oh, yes. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Oh, oil heading back down. Oh. Oh. The puts. The puts. Make sure to like the stream. Thank you, thank you. SB back near top line resistance. Quiet Monday. Yep. Yep. Seems pretty quiet. Apparently, if people don't have their stocks up 30%, they are very quiet. LAC right back to trend line. Beautiful. Ubo back to 4. I told you guys that when you hit 4, stay up there. Potentially high 4s, 5s coming. My opinion, anyway. DraftKings, yep. Was talking about DraftKings. See a nice pop today, about 2.5%, back to about 45. Yeah, Palantir, Tesla, of course, are green. We know that. When in doubt, just buy one of those nice trending stocks. Make sure to like the stream, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yep. USO puts, baby. Working out beautifully. Look at that. Big three reds. Right back down to trend line. It's too easy. It is too damn easy. Do they listen? Nah. Nah, they don't listen. HGRAF still holding. Yeah, I mean, we could potentially come down to gap fill, but again, this was our support trend line. We're still technically above our line. HGRAF, look at that, 2x volume already, 2x average daily volume, which again, average daily volume number was like 1.4 million shares just about a week or two ago. Now you can see the average volume's up to almost 3 million shares, yet we're at about 2x of that inflated volume number now, right? So again, we're approaching really 3.5, 4x times original volume, if you think about it. So HGRAF's still on fire, and I'm sure we do have some profit taking, of course, because again, you know, the stock 10, 12, 15 cents, you wake up, the freaking thing's at $1. So I can completely appreciate the fact that we have some big red volume coming out of the stock with some profit taking, but it looks like it really wants to hold $1 and continue to stay up, in my opinion. So, you know, some people, again, they see OTC, they get nervous, they think it's a pump and dump. So again, if you wanted to secure profits, or like people say, oh, I'm going to sell out my initial investment and, you know, just leave the house money and let that run. Again, however you want to play it, that's up to you, right? It's up to you. But in my opinion, it still does look good, and nothing really happened yet. Happy Monday, ready for the next rally on HGRAF. There you go, Nick. There you go, Nick. It's my boy right there. Oh, look at oil approaching 66 a barrel. USO puts? Anybody? Anybody? Oh, nobody. Make sure to like the stream. Like the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, this was a big bounce back. I know a lot of people were taken back on Friday and they were like, holy crap, we're dropping big. What the heck is going on? And now you see Monday basically bouncing back pretty much what we dropped on Friday, it looks like. Now the real question is, are we green again tomorrow or do we now reverse right back down? Nick's the hype guy for HG. Yep, yep. Hey, listen, if I owned what he owned when I owned it, I'd be pretty hyped myself. Got silver up almost 1% here. We had the slight dip, which I know I mentioned, right? I mean, it literally came down. I mean, this is almost exactly what I said potentially would happen. We could see a continued drop here. If we could see a rejection here and come back down to like 35.5, that'd be huge. But again, I'm not really sure even if silver will have a big pullback like that. Because remember, in my opinion, it's now playing catch up to the rally we saw in gold, right? Which is why we saw it climb to about 39.5 an ounce. So we, you know, like we understand the story with silver, you know, and in my opinion, I do think it still goes to 40 plus and potentially 50. You know, the problem is right now, if you're a trader, I'd say trying to time SLV options may be a little difficult, but overall, I think we can all agree where we all kind of see silver going. Bought more on Friday, only regret was not buying more. Yep. That's usually the tale as old as time. That's what everyone says. Just like everyone who didn't take me seriously initially when I did all those videos about HGRAF, and now they enter the chat, and what do you see them saying right away? Oh, wow, great call. What's the next one? Right? You missed the boat. I don't know what to tell you. SMCI earnings could really explode the stock up. I remember you saying if we broke through 66, we were going to 100. Yes, that was an article posted by JJ. Shout out to JJ in the Discord. And he posted an article, and the analysts, again, we can come back, we could look at the trend line together, because I saw what they were talking about, okay? So we need to, first of all, I got to change my time frame. There we go. Okay. So we were talking about, okay, we flash broke below the support trend line on Friday, right? We were down big. You can see SMCI with a 4% pop back to about 59. It's sitting right there at the trend line, right? It's trying to hold it. So, what's tomorrow? Tuesday, earnings coming out. So in my opinion, it really should get back to this high or potentially make higher highs, right? So in my opinion, it really should be 62 and a third, 63 on its way up to this line, 66 and a third, by tomorrow going into earnings, right? That's just my opinion, though. We know this isn't guaranteed. But if they do destroy earnings, if you will, what that article was talking about was this. See this pop right here? And they were saying that you could see, even before that article, you called it out. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Nick. I do appreciate that. They've been keeping this one down, right? And we know this. The whole time that they brought it down and they were slowly like seesawing it back up, our analysis did not change one single iota. And that, in my opinion, is what separates the men from the boys, right? Boys get emotional. They second guess themselves. They go back on their analysis. They see some red, they jump ship. The men, on the other hand, remember why they bought something, what their original analysis was. Did anything happen to the underlying company that would have affected your analysis? If the answer is no, then it's the same and you're staying on that same path. So we were talking about a breakup on this for a while, and again, they're keeping it here at the trend line, which is why if we do happen to come out and see some intense numbers from SMCI, I really do believe we immediately chunk up to some of these higher trend lines. Now, again, if you recall, look, we'll back it up here. That's why they're looking at this key trend line, okay? So you can see how we were stepping up and up and up, right? And even when we initially got some negative news, look how much the stock was fighting to hold said trend line. Then they brought it down, immediately stepped it right back to that trend line, right? This one. Brought it down. And again, if we have good numbers, we're going to have to bring it back to that trend line. And you can see 106 and change. So that's why I was talking about 100 plus should be happening soon. The article came out and said, hey, listen, this stock might go from 60 to 106 if they beat earnings. I'm telling you, in my opinion, SMCI is back in focus. And this whole time, as I always say, if your analysis doesn't change and you still like a stock and they beat it up and they bring it down, if your analysis doesn't change, believe it or not, you should be saying thank you. Because we already saw the growth coming into the stock, the demand, and the beefed up revenue coming in. Which is why the stock was up to $1,200 pre-split. Now again, we split 10 for 1, which means the stock is at $590. Which means after all these quarters, after all the BS drama that SMCI was thrown, that apparently they've crawled through again. They came out the other side, Andy Dufresne, right? Completely clean. Now, it's back to business as usual. And this whole time, we were still talking about the increased demand for tech and AI and data servers and the fact that SMCI is going to be involved in a bunch of them. And right? So again, this whole time, you don't try to make sense of the drama. You take advantage of the drama. And that's why, again, I said, unfortunately, I do not have much liquidity. But as we were chunking this stock down here, and then we bounced here, that's where I personally bought a handful of shares in my account. So my cost base is, again, literally a few shekels, which is embarrassing. But at the end of the day, my cost basis was roughly $29 a share, and I was late getting my liquidity over. Which means, of course, I would have went all in down here, in my opinion. And now you can see that position is up 100% already and nothing even happened. Did buy some deep out of the money calls as some fun lotto tickets. If they print, I'm telling the Discord who's who. There you go, Nick. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you, buddy. It's time that people know who's who in my line of business. Because I don't think they know yet. Yields down, 10-year down about 1/3%, 20-year down almost 0.5%. Stock staying green. We are staying green, oil staying down, gold and silver staying up. Take a look at our dollar, and we can see, of course, we had the big spike up, which caused our big drop down. And that's why I like to look at these things as well, right? Because we were looking at the rising dollar, we were looking at rising rates, and we were also seeing rising stocks, which technically doesn't make any sense, right? And then what happened? Friday, we dropped big. So that's what I mean. That's why, in my opinion, the old school mentality and analysis still does ring true. What they've done now is, though, they've just delayed it because they know how and where the traders are piling in. So that's what I mean. Someone like me saw the dollar climb, saw yields rise, so we bought puts. In theory, we would have bought puts. You know what I'm saying? And then what happened? They brought the market up to burn those real analysts that knew the market would go down. And then what happened the next day? They tanked everything. So this is what I mean when I try to say, in my opinion, they really try to, sway you and keep you confused. But at the end of the day, like I used to say, we know what we know, right? Is the week for a massive FUBO move after earnings. Hope you all loaded the FUBOT. FUBOT. I like that. Fubo, yeah, again, we got those prelim numbers, and they basically shocked everyone because, again, everyone thought that Fubo was going to start seeing some softness with their subscriber numbers. Then they came out, they posted those prelim numbers, and they were like, oh, yeah, by the way, subscribers are up. You know, we're going to have to beef up earnings. We're going to have to bump up our guidance a little bit. So now, all of a sudden, again, it's white hot. And that's why you saw the stock immediately break up to about 4.5. Yeah, we hit 440. Right? We had the big drop on Friday. Again, reclaim this trend line. Technically, we're above it. And this is why I was saying this is the type of catalyst that Fubo needed to continue to kind of step its way up, which is why I was speculating, you know, high fours, maybe five going into earnings. And that technically is Friday. So we have all week to now get back above the trend line and continue upward, hopefully. So we'll see how that plays out. But technically, based on the prelim numbers, it should be a pretty decent quarter for Fubo. And again, the company was growing nicely on its own, right? We saw it go up to about $4 on its own merits. Then we got the Disney news that spiked it up to about 6.5. So that's why, again, you know, we have to deal with this volatility in the short term, but in the longer term, I'm pretty sure a lot of us are pretty much on the same side of the fence here when it comes to Fubo. And of course, as I always say, I mean, you know, if a company approaches you talking about a merger or an acquisition, that just cements value, right? That completely proves that there's value there. I have to step away one moment. My apologies. Please talk amongst yourselves. Like the stream, please. Like the stream. Thank you. Thank you. The good vibration. Hey, Natalie, how you doing? Alright. You're chilling, looking at some green. No. Oof. This is when I did a video on SCCO back in the day. Look at this. Spoke about this key level down here. I don't remember exactly where it was. Maybe like 45 or something. And I said, in my opinion, it's got to bounce there, right? It's going to be a good long-term hold. And you can see, right? As I said, they know what the analysts are seeing. So they seesaw it, bring it down first. And then it's off to the races. Yep. Good vibration. Dollar just hanging out, slightly staying green here. Potential double top. Yes. Yes. Yep. Sitting here chilling. We're in the chill zone, pal. Lock and load. Potential wedging, it looks like, actually, on AMD, almost. What time is it? 2:55. Will they dump it in 5 minutes? That is the question. You can see there's a 1-year chart. You can see we got this fib right here at 177.80. Where'd the stock go? 177.86. And then paused. It's very important. You have to look at all angles, all things you can. Silver staying up. Yep. Tesla actually looks like it's wedging as well. Get the good vibration. And who's reporting earnings today? Oh, we got Palantir reporting earnings. Okay, wow, we got Hims. Hims coming out with earnings. Yeah, Hims never had the big pullback that I was expecting. I mean, I'd probably give him the benefit of the doubt, but we could also make the argument that we're a little overextended. So if for any reason, margins come in, whatever, even if it's, 10, 20 basis points light, they're going to use that as the catalyst to drop this down. If you did want to trade, again, if you want to trade these volatile names because you want some earnings action, in my opinion, just straddle them, right? Straddle means you play both sides, right? You get calls, you get puts. And that way, hopefully, in theory anyway, the volatile move up or down should be enough to cancel out the incorrect loss and still make you money. But to each their own. Palantir, yep, we got Palantir reporting earnings as well. And again, of course, we can make the argument that this stock is ridiculously overvalued as well. Right? And again, we didn't even get earnings yet. And we're up 4%. We're hitting new highs. None of it seems to matter. Again, less than $1 billion for the quarter. $379 billion market cap. Okay? And also it's laughable because when I would do a video about a stock and say that I personally like it, and then it climbs up, people always try to come in, the Johnny-come-latelys, right? And they're like, oh, look at the PE, though. It's got to sell off. This is everyone's favorite stock. The PE is almost 700. So, again, you know, it's when people try to talk to me about fundamentals, you notice it's very situational, right? Fundamentals matter, but with Palantir, they don't. With NVIDIA, they don't. With ASTS, they don't. Palantir, largest holding, been in since 7-8 range. Yeah, hey, listen. God bless. You know that. God bless. I wish you nothing but the best. I hope it keeps going. I hope it goes to 300 for you. But it is getting a little scary. But, yeah, I mean, you have a cost basis like that. I mean, that's phenomenal. Up close to 2,000%. Really doesn't get better than that. It's coming down hard one of these days. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just look at the way it trailed off this line, too. You know what I'm saying? We came out, it was an IPO, so it got some traction, right? We ran up, you can see it flagged, boom, popped up again, came down, flattened out for months, and then headed into this long descending wedge, which originally is what we were looking at. And in the numbers, I know it came down, I believe, to about 6 or high 5s, and I was saying maybe fair value was around like 5, right? But we stopped there, we started to climb to the top of the wedge, and then we got news of the company going net income positive. That helped to pump it up. And then all of a sudden, everyone with the social media account apparently fell in love with the stock. They all bought the stock, and then they all consistently kept pumping the stock. So again, you know, more power to them. Again, I hope they keep, you know, continuing beating earnings, and wish everyone the best of luck. Just remember, if you took positions in a lot of the stocks we looked at when I said they were undervalued and then they continued to climb up, just remember, if they had the type of growth that Palantir has seen, you'd all be retired. Do you think that HGRAF not going the VC route is a red flag at all for how the market views what they are bringing to the table? One of my friends said, if it is so good, why hasn't a VC scooped? Well, what if they said no? What if they said no? You know, people think a VC calls you up. That's it. It's not their decision. Just like if they took the company on Shark Tank, right? And one of those schmucks was like, oh yeah, I'll give you $400,000 for 38% of the company, right? You don't have to say yes. Look at SoundHound, perfect example, right? Tell that to your friend. SoundHound, perfect example. I told you, the CEO mentioned before they were even listed that they were approached in the past multiple times. So you could make that argument as well. Oh, why didn't they just sell the company for a couple of million back in the day? Because it's worth multiple billions today. That's why. Again, if HGRAF consistently grows and ticks up and gets moved on a major exchange and becomes a powerhouse, I mean, people act like it doesn't happen. Again, Monster Beverage was a pink sheet penny stock on the OTC for pennies. It grew into a powerhouse beverage company, you know, on close to the same level as Coca-Cola. It is a great point, Natalie. Thank you. I thought the SoundHound comparison was a very good point. That's why. You know what it is? You know why that concern was raised? All right? You ready? You want the truth? You want to know why that concern was raised? Because your friend didn't own any shares. End of story. End of story. It's true. I mean, it seems like they know what they have. Also, I think many people were burned on the first graphene hype cycle. Perhaps the reason why it's so under the radar. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Again, it really doesn't matter how we want to dissect it or what lens we want to look through. Uh, it's all about the pricing and timing. I have the mind of a champion. Found the stock at the right price, the right time. And I would hope like 80-90% of people got involved. I don't know. I don't know. Happy Monday. Yay, happy judge. Happy judge. Really looking forward to the earnings call for Sound. Should be interesting. Yeah, that's this week too. Yeah. Thursday. Looking for about 33 mil again. You know, you want to keep those losses in check. Of course, if they could report a little bit more of a narrow loss, that'd be awesome too. But, you know, right now it's really about the revenue. It's really about the revenue. Can the revenue keep chunking in? Again, we had a slight miss here. I'm honestly surprised the stock stayed up. But, I mean, stocks just continue to go higher no matter what happens. So, I guess we can't be that shocked. But, probably try to reclaim this line, meet up with this moving average, about 11 1/3 going into earnings. And again, you know, something like Soundhound, I mean, you'd have to give them the benefit of the doubt, you know. And I know people are still pumped about it over the long term. So that's why even if we do happen to get like earnings that are in line, but they chunk the stock down, again, that would probably be advantageous for a lot of people. You know, they bring that back down into the 7s and the 6s. There's going to be a lot of people out there who miss this. And they're going to jump in. They're going to start building in size really down here. So even if it does happen to miss or drop down, whatever, again, margins, whatever, costs were higher than expected, you know, it's probably going to bang and bang. It's probably going to be very short-lived, in my opinion, especially if markets stay up. Patiently waiting for the drop. Yep. Yep. But you can see, though, we did have big volume really come in, and you can see kind of lighter volume coming out, right? Which means a lot of people may have gotten involved and saw this explosion and just continued to hold, right? Expecting higher highs and more growth over time. So I do think if they can continue to give us positive updates and, you know, beat earnings more times than not, I think they'll be good. You believe stocks are overvalued? Again, it would depend, right? It would depend. If you're talking to me about the mainstream players that not only, think about this, not only retail investors, but now institutional investors and mainstream media channels like CNBC, Fox Business, whatever you watch, Bloomberg, they all now have to put focus on the meme stocks that have gotten out of control with these valuations. And that's why even when you turn on the TV and you put on one of these channels, they're always talking about Nvidia and they're talking about Palantir. It's all the same crap everywhere you go. But again, it really depends on, as I say, the fundamentals. Are the fundamentals there to back up the valuation of the company and of the stock? Because if the valuations are there, what people don't realize is that, yeah, you could make the argument that essentially every publicly traded stock could be viewed as overvalued, right? But the point is, if they have the fundamentals to back up that valuation, then even if markets drop 50%, let's say, The companies that were fairly valued and have the consistent, healthy fundamentals to back up the business, those are going to be the stocks that rebound almost immediately. Which is why when we looked at the big tech companies, again, I said something like Amazon, and I know they recently chunked it down, right? We got 2.25 trillion market cap, 35 PE, which could be considered low when compared to some of these other, larger cap tech stocks. EPS has been on point. Again, revenue remains steady, but also look at the revenue that came in last year. The company brought in $638 billion. Their net income was $59.25 billion. Just on the revenue coming into the business, we have a $700 billion valuation. Market cap, 2.25 trillion. So as much as we could, of course, make the argument that Amazon stock is overvalued, it's on paper, it's only trading 35 times earnings and 3 times annual revenue, which is not a stretch, which really isn't too much of a stretch. And then we come down to something like Palantir again. 673 PE, $378 billion market cap. Has the track record been good? Absolutely, I'm not denying it. Last year, $2.87 billion in revenue, net income $460 million. So just the revenue side of the whole business brought in about $3.25 billion last year. The market cap is over 100 times that number. You understand? So that's why I speak the way I do, and I try to warn people, in my opinion, about stocks like this that could be viewed as massively overvalued. Because if the markets drop 50-60% starting tomorrow, something like Palantir is going back down to $12. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. We just looked at the numbers, right? That's a fact. Not an opinion. And again, if it does happen to drop all the way back down, let's say $10, $12, $15, if you own it here at 160, it will now potentially take 2, 3, 5 years for it to slowly get back up to this price. However, if you just bought Amazon and markets tank, yes, Amazon stock could drop 60, 70, 80% as well. However, it will immediately be viewed as an opportunity and an undervalued stock based on historical figures and the health of previous fundamentals. So that will be one of the main names at the top of every big boy's list to scoop up. That's the difference. And that's why, yes, I don't care what anyone says. If you all started a GoFundMe and raised me $1 million and then said, okay, buy whatever stocks you want, I am telling you right now, with $1 million of your money, I personally would not buy 1 share of Palantir. Whatever you do with that information is entirely your own prerogative. I think Link is going to go crazy one of these days, especially with the push to tokenize, just a matter of time. You talking about crypto or the main character from Zelda? Major facts, great buying opportunity for Amazon. Yeah. Natalie, when I started, I remember people asked me and they were like, oh, well, a couple of people. And they were like, oh, out of the big tech names, who do you like? And we looked at all of the numbers together. And again, you see how much revenue Amazon's bringing in. And that's why I said, when you look at the big tech names, at the time anyway, Google and Amazon were like the same, really. I mean, Amazon, again, is like 3 times annual revenue. And Google was like the same thing. It was like 2.5, 3 times. But if you look at other stocks like Apple at the time, I think it was like 6 times or like 7 times revenue, right? So that's why I say, in my opinion, there are overvalued stocks, but there are also opportunities. And I think the best thing you can do is to buy into a resilient, steadily growing business that is not too overvalued. And of course, you see stocks, again, like Google, like Amazon, they just continue to climb. I mean, again, all tech continues to climb, so I know that's kind of like a weird statement, but in theory, they should hold up better to drops, and they should grow more from this point when compared to some of the other big tech companies. If any of that made sense. Sorry if it didn't. The Who is Who fund. Let's go, start up. I'll show you who's who. I'll show you who's who. If I had size, I would short Palantir, but as you see, you'd get burned from Reddit, apparently. Reddit is more powerful than fundamentals. And you were talking about Chainlink. Alright, awesome. Awesome. Now you got me thinking about Link, though, and now I want to play Zelda. See what happens? NASDAQ up almost 400 points. Steadily bouncing back. Look at this. Look at the flattening, the tightness taking place here. Looks like markets are probably just going to pop higher. It's 315. I thought we'd actually see a bump already, but we may be waiting for 330, 340, and then we'll have an end of the day breakup potentially, because it does look like kind of ascending triangles for the most part across the board. Everybody like the stream, thank you, thank you. SB 4.5%, how you doing? Above trend line. Can't keep a good man down. USO puts for the win. I saw somebody in Discord say, hey, I just jumped in USO puts. So, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if they were able to buy, like, some time, which I believe they did, they should be up very nicely right now on those puts. Tesla bounces back to 310, you know, as it should. When in doubt, buy Tesla. That's a joke, not financial advice. Super like the stream. There you go, Suzanne. Let them know. Let them know. You know, they're pikers. You know that, Suzanne. We got a lot of pikers sitting around here. Forget about throwing a dono to the chat. Some people can't even be bothered to like my chat. If you had additional liquidity, would you be buying more HGRAF? I have a good till cancel order for 75 cents. Been trying to scoop shares at that level. Yeah, Nick, we spoke about this last week. It did have the dip to 75, right? Which, in my opinion, whoop, too far. Which, in my opinion, I thought would be a good fill, right? And we were down here, down in the 70s. See, the problem is now, you got to keep an eye on this support. That's the problem, right? And we don't know if it's going to break. So, even right now, in my opinion, not a bad buy, right? Because even though we pumped it up, we still have a $250 million valuation. But the issue could be if our timeline for next said big positive catalyst is going to be towards the end of the year or potentially the beginning of next year, then that means, in theory, traders may see that we have a 4 to 5 month window before we have the next breakout, right? So we can technically like sell off and come down like half of this over the next month or two. And unfortunately, I don't know if another catalyst is going to come out and catapult the stock back up. So believe it or not, in my opinion, I actually do still think it's a buy. You'd be looking right here in my eyes, this trend line here of about 86 cents and change. If it breaks that, it's going to come here, right? If we extend this out, just extend that out for you. If it breaks that, it's going to come here, which as you see is like 64 cents. But again, it does look like size really came in and has not yet come out. So I would say, in my opinion, even though it's an OTC and it's a complete toss-up, right? And we know it could drop 40% tomorrow just because it's Tuesday. We know that. But I would say right now, I'd give it about an 80% chance that even if it drops down to line or flash breaks it, it will reclaim. That's what I think. Kinda, sorta. Funds to go in will happen Wednesday. How long should I wait? Again, we have to take it day by day. Again, you see one of the support levels that I'm watching. I mentioned a couple of price points we can drop to, so but we know how volatile it could be. So again, I just want everyone to understand the risks involved, and you could make a good buy again. We could turn around 2-3 years from now. It could be a phenomenal buy here. Every share sub $1. You know what I mean? But here in the immediate short term, you can have a swing from 96 down to like 66, right? So that's what it really comes down to. Are you able, one, to stomach that move, two, expose yourself to that risk, three, remain stoic, and four, also, would you potentially even have a few small dollars as well to continue to add if it happens to drop, right? So if you're really able to check all those boxes, then it really doesn't matter what I think, right? Because we know what we know. Based on what they have been saying, I think the news flow in 2025 is shaping up to be promising. I've been trying to get ahead of it. Yes, we appreciate that, Nick. It does seem like this is the breakout time, which, again, is why the stock broke up and out. I don't know. Again, this is what I mean. Little paralysis by over-analysis, kind of, sort of. The only person here who should really have an issue on where HGRAF is trading, where it could drop to, and when should we buy it, should be me. Because I am the only one who was not involved in this freaking phenomenal call that was made by me. Again, I told you, I should have had size, and I should have had a big position in this stock with a cost basis of like 10 cents. And I wouldn't be worrying or looking at anything until I was rich. Some of you are up big, you're raising concerns. Just relax. Just relax. Hershey's staying up, doing a nice little curl here. Disney rebounding, that's surprising. Actually, it looks like it's flagging, probably ready to pop up going into earnings. So that could potentially be an options play if you want, a little Disney call. I have been thinking about getting some longer-term Palantir puts for next quarter, if they beat this quarter and go to 200. Yeah. Again, it's rough, because apparently in order for Palantir to pull back, you need the entire market to drop bigly and be red, apparently. And then after that happens, it usually immediately rebounds. So you're going to have to be quick, and I don't even know. I don't even know with Palantir, honestly. When a stock is fake, you can't give it a realistic valuation. Right? You can't give a true analysis if a stock is fake. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. In my opinion, I would not do that. Because I remember even like a year and a half ago or whatever, we were looking at a lot of the app stocks. Airbnb, right? Spotify, Shopify. I was saying the same thing. I'm like, how did these stocks keep going up? It must be just because like these kids know these names, so they keep buying them. All of these stocks are overvalued. We should buy puts, 1, 2, 3 months out and catch the sell off. And I'll tell you, Chris, it just never happened. So, again, and they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for that, right? They're going to charge you an arm and a leg for that. It's like you have to pay out your ass for a massive premium on a move that we both know should happen, that will not happen, that will make you take a massive loss. But you're paying bigly for it today on the move that we know should happen that won't happen. You understand? What's up with a firm enjoying the rally, but they don't report earnings for another 3 weeks? People are just buying everything. That's what it comes down to. Oh my goodness. 12% today. What happened? No news. No news. 12%. Oh yeah, what happened is it came out up here, so regardless of what they kind of report or happens, they're just going to slowly bring it right back up here. That's what's going on. That is what's going on. I think we may have looked at this company in the past. I mean, they do seem to be beating earnings more times than not, and they're growing nicely, right? 500 mil. Now we're up to 600. High 600s, 800, back to high 700, looking for 800 again, right? So the company's growing nicely. Valuation 24 billion. EPS on the up and up, expecting net income positivity this earnings. Okay, we're growing. We're up to 2.3. We're still losing money. So based off of revenue, the stock is overvalued, in my opinion. Yeah, and it kind of rose in proportion. Brought those op expenses down, very nice. Operating income chunked up last 2 quarters. Yeah, millions and millions more shares, though, over the last several quarters as well. Equity slowly climbing, 287. Debt, 7 billion. No. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, in my opinion, this stock is overvalued. This would be one I'd be hesitant of. But then again, we saw the astronomical debt on a company like Dell, and that just continued to keep climbing, right? So, I mean, I don't even know what to make of it half the time. Rental leasing. I thought this was operates a platform for digital and mobile first commerce. This platform consists of point of sale. Why do I feel like I'm confusing this company with something else? Huh. I don't know. Based on the numbers, though, in my opinion, I don't like it. But, I mean, anytime I say that, a lot of times stocks do continue to go higher. So, for all we know, this freaking thing will be at 130 soon. But you can see where, you know what I mean? We're kind of potentially going to like rise it in the wedge, like back towards the highs. Then we'll probably pause it. Then we'll bring it back up probably. I don't know. I don't know. Chris, for the $4.99. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Thank you. You heard what I said, though, about Palantir, right? S&P now back below moving average. 328. Yeah, you heard? Okay, very good. Very good. Now the question is, do I go down the road of being kind of a degenerate gambler and taking a shot on some of these earnings plays? Right? We know if we go to earnings whisper, we can see at the top here we got Palantir. Yeah, let me just bring it down. How about that? There you go. Oh, excuse me. So we could see we have Palantir, right? Probably going to have a volatile move. But as Chris was saying, like, we don't know. Like, is it going to pop to 200 and then, maybe he wants to buy puts? Or are we going to get a correction now where even if we have a good report, the market's going to drop it down and start to slowly bring it back down to earth? The problem is we don't know. So if you did want to play Palantir, in my opinion, probably better off straddling. But again, that's just me. Hims and Hers is going to have a volatile move, but again, we don't know if it's really going to be up or down. Mercado Libre has actually been reporting pretty well over the last several quarters. And even when I felt it may have been overvalued or they may miss the mark, and I tweeted out, yeah, earnings are a gamble, in my opinion, Melly puts, they seem to consistently report very positively and slowly grow. So something like Melly, it's expensive, though. I know that stock is expensive, right? It's like 1,600 or something. What's it up to? 2,400. Yeah, see what I mean? This thing is like a freight train, just on the up and up and up. So, you got to pick your spots when it comes to earnings, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of traders out there who are taking positions in Palantir, Hims, Axon. This is the body cam company that I believe got moved right onto the S&P or something like that. I'm sorry, I can't recall right now, but they've been on the up and up. I think we looked at it a while back. Could be viewed as overvalued, but again, I don't know if I'd really play something like that. This stock, I think I looked at in the NVTS. Whoops. Oh, okay, this was a SPAC. Just had big volume come in. 14 mil, 14.5 mil, $1.5 billion market cap. Why did it soar? Let's see. And it may have its larger peer to thank for it. Due to broader shift in sentiment. Upgraded Texas Instruments. Okay. See the way they do that? I hate it. I hate it. Screw that name. LSCC, I remember looking. This is one. $6 billion. Bro, some of these valuations are wild, man. See, something like this, LSCC, I mean, technically, you'd want to buy puts going into earnings, but the problem is, we know it's a gamble. I don't know. That company technically is overvalued, excuse me. B&G reporting after the close. B&G is one that's wild. B&G is one that's wild. Almost like fundamentals have been suffering, right? Stock's been tanking, completely taken out of the spotlight. Similar to almost to I want to say maybe like a BlackBerry. I believe it has a high short interest here, but again, the earnings have just been mixed. Now we're looking for only 429 million on less than 6 cents, right? And we have a 330 million market cap. Look at the yield of the dividend because of how much they chunked this stock down. Stock's by the numbers. We need to hear the story. How you found the HGRAF? Was it like Michael Burry reading through the housing bonds in The Big Short? Oh, it's a story for the ages. It's a story for the ages. We'll get to that down the road, once we all have our hotels and whatnot, I had to transfer from one bank. Yeah, I figured that's what Suzanne was talking about. But I didn't really want to address her business. She loves talking about it, though. Yeah, this is, BGS. I'm honestly tempted to just buy shares myself. Do I buy shares or do I buy options? Let me check recent news here. Oh, they recently sold a brand, okay. We know B&G, and if you're not familiar with B&G, it's like a pickle company here in the States. And they have a bunch of stuff in the jars. Yeah, they offer like the hot and sweet peppers and the banana peppers, and they got the a couple of different kinds of pickles and the pickle chips, and they make like the relish in the jar and stuff for the hot dog. They did it. See, now this is interesting because I feel like, in my opinion, like that initial core business is still intact, right? And what I mean is, the people who go to the supermarket every week or every couple of weeks, and like the ones who like the B&G banana peppers, like they're going to be the consistent consumer who's going to always buy that brand, The people who like to have a jar of the pickles in their fridge every week. When people have a barbecue, they'll go out, they might gravitate towards this brand's pickles, this brand's relish. You know what I mean? And I bring that to you because we see an article like this: B&G sells Le Sueur brand to Macau Farms, and it's not the core business that got them to where they once were, right? And then I think what happened was, you bring in some other schmuck CEO or whatever, and what do they say? They're like, well, listen, all the other food companies are buying up all other brands so that, they have a ridiculous amount of brands under their umbrella so that no matter what's going on, you're always making money, right? They sold them on that whole shtick. And now you can see you have, again, this is a brand of sweet peas, green beans, carrots, apparently, being sold off. So that's what I mean, right? You spent, who knows, I don't have the dollar amount on hand, but for generality's sake, whatever, let's just say you spent 100 million, you bought out this brand of green beans and carrots, but that's not what you're known for, so that's probably not where like the marketing focus went. You know what I'm saying? So the brand now suffers, but because it's now under your umbrella, it's bringing down the rest of your business. And before you know it, the stock's at $4 when it used to be 20, 30. You know what I mean? The shelf-stable and frozen food company said Friday the sale is part of ongoing efforts to reshape its portfolio and focus on its core brand. See what I mean? I pulled up the article, and believe it or not, I wasn't reading it while I was speaking because I can't do that. But this is what I mean. I don't even need to read the articles. who is who in my line of business. The companies didn't disclose terms of the deal. Sale doesn't include the brand in Canada. There you go. Shout out to Canadians. Company plans to use proceeds from the sale to repay long-term debt, purchase assets, among other general purposes. It will also use the proceeds to pay taxes, fees, and expenses related to the sale. Leaps are really cheap. IV really, really low. I'm telling you, it could be interesting. I am interested on your thinking on leaps versus shares on small cap stocks. I know a lot of people just say, take the shares. Well, it depends, right? Because if you buy like 7 strike leaps on something like B&G, you're really going to need to see that movement, right? And then usually you don't initially see a big surge of premium because there's still so much time left on those options, right? So the options, so if this immediately pops from 4 to 7, you and I both know the options that are going to see the most movement are going to be the options for this Friday, this third Friday of the month, right? September calls, October calls. Those are going to be the ones that get the most bump the fastest. So again, a situation like this is a toss-up. It is very risky. In my opinion, if you have liquidity, as long as they don't pull back the dividend or start to chip away at it, then in my opinion, it probably will be more advantageous for you to own shares, right? And DRIP, the DRIP, which then of course stands for the Dividend Reinvestment Program, and you drip those dividends just back into more shares. So in my opinion, I might just go shares on something like this. They make the seasoning for Texas Roadhouse, Kohl's. Do they really? I didn't know that. But I do hear people say that it is very good. So that's good. Corporate jargon 4, we are in trouble and have to pay off debt. Never good to see a company let go of one of their revenue streams like that. And for all you know, they were spending $1 to make $1. We'd have to go in, we'd have to look at what they paid for the business, how much it cost them to keep the brands running, how much they spend on marketing and advertising and whatever shelf fees or whatever nonsense they got to deal with. And then we'd have to bring in how much revenue that specific brand brought in. Is the juice worth the squeeze? So, believe it or not, it's not always a negative. We recently saw GT, Goodyear Tire, another winner, of course, brought to you by me, who was at 8.5, and the stock slowly ticked up to about 10. Then what happened? They sold off some assets to bring in some cash to readjust the balance sheet, right? Get their head back above water and continue the restructuring and move us into hopefully a better and more prosperous 2026. These companies have to do that. We saw it with Nokia, another great example. Of course, that one grew nicely and hit highs. Once again, brought to you by yours truly. You know, I can only do so much. I can't do it for you. Want to buy 100,000 shares of HGRAF. Should I do half now, then half later when it pulls back? I would do about 20 or 30% now, in my opinion. Which, again, is what I know you kind of joined the community recently, but this is what I used to say for a while, right? You piece your way in. You piece your way in so that if it pops, it's good because you're involved. If it drops, it's good because you have more cash to buy more. If it drops again, it's good because you have more cash to buy more. You understand? You piece your way in. But everyone knows that you own size, so it doesn't really matter. Started at 6 cents. Yes, I know. You have a phenomenal fill. You have size. Yes, that's why I'm sitting here laughing and joking about you like your extra 100,000 makes a freaking difference at where you buy it. You see the writing on the wall. I am right. I am right. And that would also be you are right. So that would be YOU apostrophe RE. The original business model wasn't amazing. They were looking to license the Hyperion units out to customers. What they have now makes so much more sense. Okay, I'm sorry. Which stock? Who is that referring to? I missed it. Yes. Thank you, Suzanne. Very good. Very good. Hey, listen. Never too old to learn something new, right? We learn something new every day. Got to keep an open mind. Continue to grow. We will make ourselves better in this community across every aspect of life. Doesn't matter. Daily life, grammar, financials, doesn't matter. We're off to the races. And we're going to the moon, Alice. To the moon! HGRAF making the graphene themselves and selling it versus licensing the reactor. Oh, yes, right, yes. Hyperion, yes, that's what they're called. Yeah, I was like, what the hell is a Hyperion? I thought you were talking about like some EV stock or something. But yes, that's true. Yes, we have our facility coming online again in Texas. That is no, that's my bad. That is facility coming online in Texas. Hopefully, we're looking over the next couple of months, potentially early 2026. This facility is coming online, and as Nick just laid out, the company is going to be producing this themselves. So again, just cutting out like that extra middleman, you know what I mean? This is why I truly said from day one, once I read the story, saw what they do, and I read some of the reports and the data that was coming out of some of these trials, I knew that's why I titled the videos the way I did. Was it speculative? Yes, I put that in caps right at the beginning so that you know this stock is just a couple of cents a share. On the OTC, it could go to zero. The company could go out of business. Please understand the risks involved. That being said, it is a speculative potential game changer. And without technically anything happening yet, stock moved roughly 1,000%. There's a reason why it moved that much. And the reason is because I'm just too damn good. That's what it comes down to. Silver up 1%. How you doing? $15 likes on the stream. Holy moly. Boy, oh boy. Now see, you can do a straddle on Palantir. You can do a straddle on HIMS. Right? But the question again, going back to something like B&G, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I know, yeah, I know the financials have been a little rocky. Dividend pulled back roughly, yeah, like 50-60%. They held it at 76 cents. We have assets outweighing liabilities. And again, they said they recently sold off assets to take care of debt, readjust. Damn. Damn. See, now again, overall, in my opinion, this sounds good. And I actually think it makes it a buy, believe it or not. The issue is, right, this was just done a few days ago, and now we have earnings. So, will it not matter this quarter, but matter next quarter? You know what I mean? Declared their dividend a few days ago. Maintain equal weight, Barclays. Target at 4 from 5. Yeah, we dropped again. We swung back to negativity, but I mean, again, we're still, you know, high ones. 1.9 billion again. Even if we take away the loss, now we're at like 1.7 billion. We'll say that they brought in for the year. We have a market cap of like a fifth of that. The equity's been dropping. Hmm. I don't know. Again, it seems like it was such a brand name in the shelf space for so many years. So that's why, again, even if I think, even if they miss and they drop it to like 3.5, 3, and they make new lows, like, I still think there's value in that core kind of like pickled jar division. Or am I trying to catch a falling knife? What am I trying to do here? And shares, again, you can see several quarters ago, we jumped up to like 78.6 mil. And like, yeah, we jumped up, but then we dropped down. And we are a little bit higher. But if you really look at it, I mean, this is over the last year and a half. And a company in this much trouble has only issued about 1 million more shares. That's not too much. Yeah, I don't know. It's risky, but I don't know. I like it. Something tells me. Oh, man. Am I crazy or am I on the right track? It just looks like it had a big drop in a channel. It just looks like it wants to drop lower. So am I right, but am I early? Am I right, but am I early? Mm. Gotta feel like they're going to cut dividend if they are selling assets. No, right? Because they just sold assets and whatever. They got brought in 100 mil, so they can, as they said, pay off some debt, do some restructuring, keep the dividend going, right? In theory, not guaranteed. See, if losses began accelerating and then you're operating at a loss, uh, and then you have to consistently take on more and more debt to pay off dividends, look like the debt kind of plateaued. 206. It's technically down year over year and the lowest it's been going back the last 4 or 5 quarters. Hmm. That's so much debt. You want to see a lot of debt, you look at Dell. Yeah, we already saw some companies refinance some of their debt for slightly more favorable rates, and technically, yeah, they didn't even really drop too much. So, NeoQuant, good point, good point. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this could be volatile. You could get banged up right away. This is fair warning. You could get banged up right away. But I kind of like it, believe it or not. I don't know why. Again, I could be early, as I said. I'm kind of thinking out loud here with you guys. I could be early, but I have a feeling the U-turn's coming. All right, I'm gonna put some of my money where my mouth is. Let's see what we could do here. Let's see what we could do here. All right. I am going to roll the dice. I have 7 minutes. I'm going to roll the dice on a Palantir put. All right, where is it? 160. What's like a 150? $500. See what I mean? That's a 150 for this Friday. It's $500. Even though no matter what happens, they pump the stock up. But for me to buy a 150 put for this Friday is $500. Just think about that. We go down to 140, 218. See, that's what I mean. Like, it's not even worth it. Like, this stock should pull back to like 110. What else we got here? We got hymns. Let's check hymns. Unless it really moves. Yeah, I don't even know what I just bought, like a 130 or something, but again, just to have some action between us. Hymns though. Huh. Where is it? 63. So let's say, what if it pops up to 70? That's almost $300. What's the high on hymns? 73. So what if I buy like a 75? That's still $157. Wow. So if they're expecting a break up, do I go down? How about if I buy like a 50 put? Yeah, it's kind of the same. Don't understand why people got so excited for Blade after this. Yeah, I don't know. What's that? Like one of those? It's like a drone company or something, right? I don't know. Those have been in focus the last week or two since Hegseth made his announcement. I mean, they literally didn't say like one company or they were, putting an order in, but everything just started running. Think you like hymns calls? I mean, again, if you want, roll the dice, understand the risks involved. I wish you nothing but the best. I mean, I'd understand hymns calls. I'd understand that argument as well, but it seems like the options are very expensive. Again, if I like an 80, what's an 80 call? Is $80. That's expensive. I mean, I'm talking 17%, right? I need a 25% move to get in the money on hymns for an $80 strike. And it's $80. I'd be crazy high. I think I'll sit out. Yeah, that's what I mean. Sometimes just not worth it, right? Sometimes just not worth it. Let me see, though, out of curiosity. Did that fill? Okay, that filled. So apparently I'm in Palantir puts, so we'll watch that one together. I got about 2-3 minutes left. What was I looking at? B&G? Let me see something. B&G. Okay. So yeah, if I buy, let's say September 26th. A September 2026 $5 call on B&G is $30. 35 technically, mid-price. Right? So you have 13 months for this stock to climb up to above 5. And it's only going to cost you about 30 and change. That's crazy. But again, if they just sold assets, they shouldn't be cutting dividends. Or do I just buy the stock? Uh, all right. I'm a wild man, and between us, I just bought some shares of P&G, and I bought some calls for this Friday, I think. I don't know. But if we happen to see a big positive report and this thing spikes to $5, that'd be freaking sweet. I'll tell you that much right now. We're up to 17 likes on the stream. How you doing? Who was that before? Chris, I think, sent that $4.99's the only one looking out for me, eh? Alright, so I'm watching Palantir BGS, looking for some action here, in true degenerate fashion. Flex if it happened. Yeah. Well, you know how it is when someone's right and they make money, they never shut up about it, so. If BGS prints, I'll toss another over too. Okay. Yeah, like we said, again, technically, if we're talking like real investment analysis, technically something like BlackBerry or like we just looked at B&G, like these really shouldn't be on your radar, right? So this is more of a speculative. This is like a really beaten up name, and we might be near the bottom. We might be venturing now into the restructuring and the U-turn. So something like this might slowly climb up, from 4 to 5.5, 6.5. You know what I mean? Same thing with BlackBerry, right? Like I said, the business kind of sucks. Stock sitting at whatever, $3.50, $4. But if it's one of the few Canadian companies out there that we're putting value on, then we may just see it get bought out, as we said, for their IP or potential patents that they have on the back burner in the pipeline. And, they could just receive a bid for whatever, $7 a share, right? 8.50 a share. And boom, you could make money on it that way. So, similar to what I said with Intel, right? I remember saying Intel, in my opinion, there's value there in the assets. And then we saw it have a little bump. It was supposedly a rumor, but we saw the bump, and I believe it was Qualcomm. The rumor was that they were approaching them about their foundry division, right? So that's what I mean. That's why these stocks, we can beat them up, we can take the spotlight off them, but a lot of these companies, they have value. They have more value than you might think. Let's check Palantir. Am I rich or is it up? Up? What do you know? It's up. Palantir explodes 500. What? What the hell? Joining co-founder at the top of the leaderboard. After the company locked in a massive 10-year U.S. Army agreement worth up to $10 billion. 10-year, $10 billion. Market cap's almost $400 billion. That's what makes me laugh. Oh, it hit highs because it is new. It was already higher than it should have been. Man, ranking third. Uh-huh. His journey is a classic tech underdog story. Is that a joke? Is that a joke? We're literally writing an article about the guy who became a billionaire because the stock is trading 10 times its fair value. Is that a joke? Offloaded nearly 370 million worth of shares. Woo! Must be nice. Must be nice. Just remember, if it was worth so much more, why would you dump that much of a chunk? Options worth over 200 million. The options are worth 200 million. Hilarious. And even with that news coming out, they'll still pump the stock higher. It doesn't matter. It's amazing. What's going on with B&G? Am I rich? We're chilling, we're chilling. Palantir to 350. Yeah, apparently. Apparently so. Up, gap up. Gap up candle technically means we should drop. Up, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what stock you buy, cause Palantir keeps climbing. Doesn't matter what the market cap is, cause Palantir keeps climbing. Yeah, we vibing, baby. We are vibing. Honestly, I put more into B&G, so I hope B&G does this. I don't even care about Palantir. Note to self, buying a put on Palantir equals making donation. Oh, yeah. We don't. Obviously, we don't even need to see the numbers because it's overvalued. A billion second. Wait. Oh, yeah, 937. Okay, I was like, what? A billion? Okay. Okay, so estimates were 937. They brought in a billion. Times 4 is 4 billion for the year. Market cap 380 billion. Again, numbers don't matter if you own the stock. I'm laughing my ass off at this one. I'll tell you what. I will tell you what. Bada bing, bada bada boom, boom. Bada bada boom, boom. No summer wind. Palantir raises annual revenue forecast again on surging AI demand. Whoa! Whoa! Yeah, we knew this already. We knew this already. And it still doesn't matter, and we still bring the stock higher. Must be nice. Must be nice. That's why I said these insiders laughing their ass off. You just saw the guy is a billionaire now. Sold off a quick 400 million of the position, right? They know the stock isn't worth 166 a share. Are you kidding me? Income from operations, 269 million. But it's a $400 billion company, apparently. Living in America. Living in America. That's crazy. That is crazy. Stock gains as bombastic AI demand fuels. Yeah, okay, sure, yeah. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Oh, B&G down. 4 cents versus 6. No. 424.4. No. Yep. Told you I was early. Oh, I was early, but may not be wrong yet. We'll wait and see. Second quarter demonstrated sequential improvement in trend after challenging first quarter. Further improvement second half of 25. Reshaping, restructuring our portfolio, sharpen focus, simplify business, improve margins, cash flow. Yeah, dumping some brands. And the Le Sueur brand, okay. Reading. Yeah. So basically, there's a lot of text to tell me that numbers are down, and they missed. Look at all these brands they have. My goodness. Huh. Looks like the spices seem to be holding up the best. Yep. I mean, it's a risky one, but again, I mean, just take some time. I don't know. Again, I'm a madman. I roll the dice on some crazy symbols sometimes. D3, what's going on? Hey, yo, top gainer. Yeah. Apparently, American Eagle, Sydney Sweeney, people got upset. Other people were laughing. And then, I don't know, people now are like buying their jeans to burn them, which they don't comprehend actually helps the company. So I don't get it. I have no idea what's going on. Like I said, if you have a thought like that doesn't really add up and make sense, we might have to sit you down, give you a talking to, right? Because there's a screw loose somewhere. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, B&G, some light numbers, as I kind of predicted to myself that it might be rough this quarter and better next quarter, but I bought call options. Of course, they were like really cheap. They were like $7 each. I literally just bought a few of them. And I don't know. I'll see. If it doesn't completely crater, I only have a handful of shares, but I'll hang on to the shares. Right? I mentioned it as a call. I mentioned it as an idea. I put my money where my mouth is, right? You got to respect that. What's Palantir? Up. Staying up. Nothing can stop it. It's all the way up. Oh, fantastic. HGRAF closed at $1, by the way. Oh, I gotta take that off. That's why. Alright. Alright. Let me see. Yep. Stopped right there. Just about $1. Above the moving average, technically. Alright. You have like this downward channel, and then we pop. Downward channel, and then we pop. Downward channel. A capiche? That would technically be a capit. A capit? Which, of course, is Italian for do you understand? I sold 2/3 of Palantir position at 68, still trying to get over it. Hey, listen. I know something like that hurts, but you and I both know why you sold it at 68. So don't even beat yourself up, brother. It's not even worth it, I'm telling you. We had no idea how fake it would be and how social media would pump it to frickin' 3 times that price that you thought was probably going to be near the top. You know what I mean? It's not even worth it to go down that hole, brother. Just look for the next one. Like I said, we got, things like HGRAF, MBOTs could be good up and coming stocks. We looked at a lot of smaller companies that could do well. So, just stay focused. Look for the next opportunity. Oh, yeah. Woof. Look at that. Shoot straight up. Now we're tightening. All right. And what's going to happen? I mean, we should drop and bring it down to 130, but we're going to pop and break up and go to 175, right? So, congratulations to those shareholders. Also, at the same time, I mean, you sold 2/3 of the position, and that sucks, but I mean, you still got 1/3 flying to the moon, so be grateful. Oh, baby. Okay, how long we been streaming? About an hour 44. We got Palantir numbers, which of course were good, even though I feel the stock should not keep going higher, but that doesn't matter. Palantir up about 4% after hours. And of course, we got B&G. B&G just down a couple of percent right here. Probably going back down to that low, maybe into like the 380s and 370s. So, yeah, I'll see. I'll, of course, let you know if I keep or, sell out of those shares. But, again, was just an idea. So, again, like I said, sometimes you got to think outside the box, Sometimes you got to think outside the box. And something like B&G, I mean, of course, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I actually think I'm just early. Perhaps in the same realm as BlackBerry. But it's after 4, which means technically I don't have to work anymore. So I'm going to end the stream here. I want to thank everyone for your support. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me, spending some time, throwing some likes on the stream and all that stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Appreciate it. And hopefully you all had a good day and a good happy Monday. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.